If you clicked on this video, you've probably been told at least one of these three things. Why are you so angry? You're always angry. It's just so angry. That's too much. This shit too much. No, that's not what I mean. You don't understand. You're kind of crazy. How does that feel? Not good. Anger has a purpose. Anger, it has a purpose, okay? It reinforces boundaries in environments that are toxic, in environments where the boundaries are always crossed. We're gonna explore how anger can be contained to actually help maintain healthy boundaries. Let's get into it.
Inner heroine.
All right, so let's sip some tea because I'm about to say a lot of things that are true for me, at least, and I hope it resonates with you. I have a background in psychology. I have a training in spiritual practices, and I dropped all of this to be centered in my own truth, to find my own frame, because I found out that every structure in society, every environment that we're in, is structured in a way that make us abandon who we are in favor of the collective, and even in individualistic or narcissistic societies like in the West. Let me explain. If you grew up in a society where you've been told that you cannot define your own way of looking at beauty, let's take just beauty as an example. This is a lot. You're always relying on the collective to validate who you are. Every single second of your life, you're relying on the collective to give you feedback on who you are. So the collective is always preceding what you actually think about yourself. So much so that we actually lose touch, or we actually never develop a definition of these concepts for ourselves. The ones that do, they get ahead like this in life. You want to know who got the star power, star qualities, who got a lot of followers, is because their sense of self is more defined, and that's important. Sense of self is actually what is creating boundaries, because you need to know where you end and where someone else's start. That's the boundary. We see boundaries as something negative most of the time, okay? Especially those of us that have been abused or just going through life, okay? Going through life in the current state of affair is abusive in itself in many ways, because, again, we rely on the collective. The example of beauty can transfer to what do we eat, very basic stuff that we cannot really define for ourselves. When to wake up, when to go to work, what does work mean? All of this stuff. Boundaries, sense of self, it doesn't need to be egoistic in a way that is like, F everybody else, I'm just thinking about me. That's not what it is. But it can become that if the boundaries are always crossed. If we try to define it for ourselves all of the time and the boundaries are still crossed, then anger comes and it's like, no, that's me. That's you. You stay there. Anger serves a purpose. It becomes dysfunctional when the anger is a habit to push people away, because in the past it's been the case that the boundaries were always crossed, always transgression of the sense of self, of the definitions that you put for yourself. It doesn't have to be even physical. It can be emotional abuse. It can be like, that's not what you really think. I know better what you think. Being in relationships with people that think they're better than you all the time, it does that to the psyche. It does that where you're always questioning yourself. You're always in the state of, is that really what I think? Some people can go as far as to make you doubt your own memories and replace it with their own. Rewrite the stories. It happens at the greater scale too. Boundaries, anger, it comes together. You cannot have a boundary transgression without feeling angry. If you do not feel angry when you're treated badly and when someone intrudes your space, physically, sexually, mentally, energetically, spiritually, if someone does that to you and you're not angry, there's something wrong. Something is not happening in the way it should. Because anger is there, even in animals, to keep us safe in that way, so that we keep our integrity. Anger is legitimate. Let me say that again. Anger is valid. Anger is valid. It's valid. Now it's about how to use that anger that has been misplaced because of the patterns. Maybe sometimes the anger is misplaced when someone is not really trying to transgress. You're still having this habit of pushing them away and not, being smooth about it. But it's also a habit to learn how to be smooth and learn how to master that anger. Don't push yourself away in terms of suppressing the anger. Because if you're suppressing something that helped you, you're denying yourself. You're abandoning yourself. And a useful part of yourself. A part of yourself that has been there for you, to defend your best interest, to defend your sense of self, to defend your sense of safety in the world. This anger is cute if it's mastered. Let's get into it. How do you master this? You surround it with love. But really, really though, because love in terms of an intention, just having the intention of every time my anger shows up, I'm gonna surround it with love. Find out what that means for you, because that's how you're gonna create something very strong for yourself. I'm just gonna share what it means for me. It means that every time I feel like I'm getting heated or something is not sitting right with how I'm being treated, I'm remembering something and I see it in a way that's like, oh, they were trying that with me. Oh, they played me there. Oh, that happened that way. And then I'm bubbling up with anger. You can use the anger to see what has been done and what do you need in that situation. It's just like a signal to tell you, okay, that is not okay. That's not how I want to be treated. And that's the surrounding with love that I'm talking about. It's like always seeing it as your friend. It's like, oh, anger, thank you. Now you're showing me something, and this is about loving myself and seeing what is needed now. I think that in itself, it can calm you down to a state where you don't need to fight, or you don't need to exteriorize and go and seek for someone to blame and to get revenge on. Because if you're surrounding it with love, It's like, okay, it stays there, it's my friend, I'm not pushing myself, denying myself. Because when you push yourself and you deny yourself, then the anger, it stays there. You know, emotions, it's energetic, it's very physiological, and it creates some tension in you that you might seem like a very happy and calm person, but when someone does something, you pop off because that anger is suppressed, it's not mastered. So if you see that anger bubbling up and you recognize the signs of physiological activation, mental agitation, it's a sense of very directed energy too. It's not like anxiety where it's like, anger is very like direct. I'm angry at this. It's very tunnel vision. If you recognize those signs for yourself and you're like, oh, this is anger, I'm in anger. What does that mean? What do I need? I'm going to my left side because a lot of anger is in my left side. I'm gonna get into it in more details in other videos, but you can go as deep as like, where is it stored? What do I need? How can I calm my body, etc. For this video, I'm just gonna say boundaries, boundary work, for me has been about seeing that I can keep that little amount of anger and see it as passion. It's a passionate emotion, it's a passionate energy to keep myself safe. So I always keep a bit of like this tendency to action that we call it in the psychology field. This anger comes with a tendency to action, to actually be passionate about things that you care about, that has been transgressed or where you see an injustice. So I'm always keeping it in the background, this little anger, passionate thing that I'm just fueling myself with. And I feel like that's healthy for me because I surround it with love, and I feel like it's helping me keep my boundaries instead of being always lovey-dovey and always being in this state of like, no, everything is fine, everything is okay, anybody can do anything, and I'm not angry and I'm not mad, I'm a spiritual being and everything like that. And like, I try to be that in that state, and it's fun sometimes to like just let go and just be in that state, but I just realized that it's not me. It's not who I was designed to be, really. And so you decide what is best for you. That's emotional mastery, is about your specific design, because we came through a lot of experiences in our lives that were crossing our boundaries, that were redefining who we are. And then we get to choose how we define ourselves. Remember, self is the ultimate boundary between you and others. So how we define ourselves is our doing. So you define yourself and you get that relationship with your emotions where you're like, I can get a little bit of this, a little bit of that. This is mastery. Some people are still at the level of it's suppressed and I want to like let it happen. Then I'm gonna build programs around that to take you progressively into that process. But this video is more about an advanced level of mastery that you can still try. Maybe it will work right away, you know? I'm not here to say you're not able to do it if you're suppressed. I'm just here to say my process was more progressive, where if I have suppressed some type of stuff, it came out like violently and then I had to contain it. But if you're able to directly master it from the suppression to the mastery, let me know, because I want to know all types of paths. I already did one video about anger that you can see here. Don't judge my eyebrows. I was in another vibe then. I was in the like, ooh, I feel my love you guys. See you next time. I'm gonna keep uploading faster and faster and get into the gig, get into the zhuzh. Bye.